Okay, this project is called Out of Bounds. First, open up a photograph and place it into Photoshop. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and I've got a fun car racing photo here. What we're going to do with this photograph, we'll just increase the size here on our screen. I'm going to make this so it looks like these cars are popping out or off of the photo here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer. Now you should always duplicate the layer so it can, we won't touch the background. So I can just right click on it and hit duplicate layer. Okay. Or if you want to duplicate a layer, you can always just drag it straight down on the new layer right there, and it also duplicates the layer. All right. Now to delete a layer, you just hit delete. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is with the paint tool, we're going to make what's called a mask. Okay, we're going to go to the mask tool, and the mask tool is right here. Okay, so click on that tool. We're going to take the paint tool, and we're going to paint these cars, just the top of them here. So to make a bigger and smaller paintbrush, we're going to use our bracket keys, and we're just going to paint. Now you're going to see pink, and when you see pink, what that's going to do is it's kind of a see-through or opaque or transparent, transparent pink color, so we can kind of paint these cars right against the edge. Now what the mask tool does is it's going to make a selection for us every place that we paint. So I just want the cars painted here. So I can select the cars and put them about in any situation, any place. And of course light pink's not exactly the easiest thing to see on a red car or orange car, but it's close enough. It works well enough. So again, what the mask tool does is when we use it, it's going to then make a selection for me, what I call marching ants, all around the paint, where I'm painting these cars out. So it's an easier way. And the reason we do this is because then we can get really fine-tuned with the paintbrush on the edges and the corners. But we can do a very large brush to broadly paint in that mask. So I'm just using my bracket keys to make it smaller and bigger. And if you go outside the lines, don't worry. Now if you go way outside the lines, like oops, you take your eraser, smaller brush with the brackets, and you can go in and erase the places that you've made mistakes. And then again, the paintbrush, you can paint back in the places that you want to fix up. Okay. Now, when you turn this off, back here, this is the mask tool. Click that, turn that back off. Notice how the cars now are painted. And what it did is, if I take the move tool here, I'm moving the background. Okay. I don't want to move the background here. I want to take my select at the top and inverse that. So just the cars are selected. So now I can make a duplicate of these cars. I can make these cars race on any track now. I could hit Command T and spin that selection. I've got them clipped out now. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in time. Now to go back in time, or if you don't want to do that movement, just say no, don't transform that. And to go back in time, you hit Command Option Z on a Mac. Command Option Z, Command Option Z, and it goes back in time. Okay? So now I've got these cars selected here, and what I'm going to do now is, since I've got those selected, I'm going to hit Command C for copy. I just copied the selection area. Then I'm going to make a new layer. Now the new layer is way down here. That's to make a new layer right next to the trash can. Make another new layer so it's blank, and hit Command V. So now if you look at my layers palette, I've got a layer with just those cars on it. Here's the original. There is the original layer. This is a copy of the original. Okay, so I've got that there on the top. Okay, now we're going to make we're going to take the rectangular marquee tool here, and we're going to draw a box, something like that. So you want to leave some of the top of the cars or top of whatever your subject is coming, like it's going to be coming out of. We're going to make this look like a photo down here. All right, so draw that box. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put that on this next layer down, not on this layer that we cut the cars out. Okay, and we could always rename that. We could double click on that and call this just cars, so we know it's just those cars, and the background copy is the background. Okay, we want to be on that copy. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to Effects. So with a selection made, a square selection, we're going to go to Effects. Now Effects are right down here. This is called Adding a Layer Style. Click on Effects, and we're going to do a stroke, and it's going to stroke this area right around here. And then what we want to do before we really hit that stroke off is we want to delete the background of this. We want to delete the background here. So before we do that stroke, I went one step too fast. Before we delete that or make that stroke around there, let's go ahead and delete all the image around the area here. Now if I hit delete right now, you won't even see any difference. But if you hit select inverse to invert it to the outside and hit delete, you're still not going to see a difference, but here's the deal. Command D gets rid of the marching ants, but here's the deal. If I go back and turn off this background layer, it really has clipped out this because I just turned off this eyeball. Now this little eyeball right here, that is so I can see that layer or not see it. See it, not see it. So I just want to see just that part. So I'm done with that background. I'm just going to leave it turned off, all right? Now the next thing I want to do is make a stroke around that. Here's where we do it. Effects, stroke. And instead of stroking black here, let's make it big like this and stroke it in white. So click on this and change it to white. So now it looks like maybe a white bordered photo. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a drop shadow. So click on drop shadow. And then we're going to make the distance bigger. So I'll see the drop shadow. And let's make this about, let's make it come off the side here, about 120, 125. Okay, so it looks like it's now popping off the page. That's kind of cool looking, isn't it? Okay, so we've got that. We can shade that a little bit softer or darker. Now the checkerboard background means that there's just nothing in this area. That's just showing us a blank. It's how Adobe shows it as a blank, all right? Now I can see the top of the car here. It needs a little bit more erasing. We can fix up that later. Let's get these two layers together. Now how you get them together is you hold down Command and click on the second one. So they're both highlighted. Okay, and then we're going to right click, and I can't bring this over, but we're going to right click and we're going to say merge those two layers. You can see merge lay there, okay? Those merge those two. So now if I hit my move tool, it's all stuck together. Cool. Now let's hit this. Let's hit Command T so we can transform it. And this is the most fun, interesting tool here, right here. It is to warp. So let's make this look like the photo is actually like floating here, like it's floating in space. You can curve it over, you can curve it back, you can curve this edge. Let's make it look like it's floating on a piece of paper here. Okay. Now let's make a fun background. So make a brand new layer. Let's drag that underneath the cars here. Okay, and on this blank layer, let's go ahead and paint what's called a gradient. Now the gradient is found right here underneath it's the paint bucket. Here's your gradient tool. And then click right up here on the gradient. Okay, so you go to gradient. And then change that gradient to, I'll use a kind of a fun orange and yellow. And just click and drag on your photo, which is going to paint on that layer. And you can go this way, you can go this way, you can make it any way you want. So make kind of a fun background. Now here's where we go up and do some fine tuning. We go to our cars layer, eraser, and now we can do some fine tuning here on this car and kind of make it look a little bit better. Depends on how good you are drawing with a mouse in your hand. Some artists say it's like drawing with a brick in your hand. A pen mouse would probably be even smarter here. But that's caught out of bounds. It looks like this photo is flat somewhat. If you want to change it again, of course, you just hit Command T, warp, And you can flatten this up some more if you want. Really make that thing look like it's a floating piece of paper if you'd like. That's now to your imagination on how you want to make it look, okay? Oops. Move tool. Okay. That's called Out of Bounds. Pretty fun looking. Might be kind of fun with the mountain coming out. I don't know. Bye-bye.